Good morning, everybody. My name is Jane Lindsay, and I'm your instructor for art and activism. So I know this is a little bit early, but I wanted to talk to you guys just a little bit so that you can start thinking about what your project is going to be. Because art and activism in this class, it is literally a class that you're going to be working on mostly one project and a journal. So your project will be an activist project. And my suggestion is that you find a social organization in your community and work with them to create a visual, literally it can be, it says to be a photography only, but I'm open to any medium of visual art. So, I want you to think about if you want to work with the agency, those are the strongest projects that do the most good. I'm not going to require it this semester because it's summer. I'm going to require it next semester though, I think. So, but this, and with COVID and all that stuff, but if you can, that's kind of why I'm going at you early. See if you can find an agency that you would like to do a photo project with. And I may go ahead, I think your syllabus might already be accessible. So I may have to end up making a couple of changes to the syllabus, but overall, as far as your project goes, nothing's going to change. So think about how you want to work. Do you want to work in race? Do you want to work in, look what's going on right now with abortion. Do you want to work with in feminism? Look, we have so many different, we have 6 really good modules to think about, and I'm just going to quickly show them to you. I'm still working them. But so we're going to study Black Lives Matter movement and understanding systemic racism. Ignore those dates. We're going to study living in the world of normal thinkers. We're going to study mental illness, autism, mass incarceration, sex trafficking, and women's issues. And I'm too bad I can't show you my cat. I got him in a sex trafficking house. Border justice, which is a huge issue going on right now in our country. LGBT, look at the Florida issues going on. So these are the topics. So think about where you're going to work. If you can find as I said, an agency that you could collaborate with for your project, that would be awesome. And I'm open to talking to any agency that you think you might want to work with. Otherwise, you'll be doing you should be thinking about a project on some issue that you're passionate about, and then so that when we meet, I can quickly guide you and to get moving, because we don't have that much time. So that's what we're going to be thinking about when we do our class. Now, I want to just introduce you a little bit to my work, because I never end up doing that. And so I work in activism, and so I am autistic and dyslexic. So I started, I've been working in activism a long, long time. And a lot of my work centers, believe it or not around autism, but around mass incarceration. So let me go, and then other documentary kinds of things. So I am excited to show you a couple of bodies of work. And they're not all in mass incarceration, by the way, but I'm going to show you one. You can look at my website later if you want to. So this is my newest body. Well, I'm not going to say, or my newest mass incarceration body of work. It's actually complete. So these are literally installation pieces that talk about systemic racism and translate Ibram Kendi and Michelle Alexander's theory on systemic racism. And so I built, what these represent is the attorney visitation rooms of the jail. There's tiny rooms. There's a little table, a window, a paper push, and you talk to inmates through there. I know because I worked at the public defender's office for many a year. So when you look at these pieces, these are 1,000 mugshots I took off the Lubbock County Jail roster, and behind them are the color or race of each person. Here we have another installation that are the policymakers. So these people represent policy in Texas, the governor, the Senate judicial, the House judicial, This guy right here, his name is Brian Shannon. He wrote the policy, the mental health policy for Texas. This is the sheriff. By the way, the sheriff in every county is usually the most powerful person in the county, so never forget that. And these are the district and county judges in Lubbock, Texas, the district attorney, public defender's office, chief defender. Behind them is also their race. And you can see the color disparity in each of these images. See, look right here. This is an autism piece, I always say, because I love grids. Grids and lines are really cool for me. So that's how this piece is working. And then when you look in through the light, you can see the projection on the wall. This piece here is tintypes, and they actually represent the 500 mentally ill people that pass through the Lubbock County Justice Jail every 6 months. So this is 6 months worth of people arrested that have a mental illness in Lubbock County. And what I'm talking about in this is Rule 46B, which says that if a mentally ill person is incompetent, then they literally can spend longer in jail than the maximum penalty for the crime. So imagine being arrested for a crime that your penalty is you're going to spend a year in jail for it, but you're mentally ill, so they leave you 3 years, 4 years in jail. That happens all the time. So that's what this piece is talking about. These are daguerreotypes on the wall of portraits, actually, and murder scenes. And so, and then these are actually plexiglass prints that are made actually at the Pinal County Jail. So they're in Arizona. So this piece is another little installation that shows you the size. It's built to show you the size of a cell. So a cell that one person, these border the cell. These each have a story to them. Please feel free to read them. These are laments, these big daguerreotypes. These are 8 by 10. And they usually show what happened. That's not a murder scene, by the way. This one is, though. It's so sad. So these are portraits of people that came through my office while I was at the public defender's office that agreed to be in my project. And it was about the unjust legal system, and if you have a mental illness, what's going to happen to you in the legal system. Most of these people are people of color, actually. This little girl is also in my capital punishment project because, believe it or not, I photographed her when she was 5 and 6 years old. They're 7 and 8. And then she disappeared in the system. And then when I was working in the public defender's office, she got arrested and came back through the system. And so I photographed her again. These are daguerreotypes. Daguerreotypes are actually invented by a guy named Louis Daguerre. And they are the first photo processors. Very difficult to make. They're actually, believe it or not, they're developed in mercury. And so mercury vapor, which is really dangerous. So they're on actually, this is a copper plate that's been shined to the nth degree, plated in silver, and then it's fumed in iodine and bromide, exposed, and then developed in mercury. So that's that project. Feel free, the artist statement is at the end there, or at the beginning. Feel free to have a look at it. And then let's go, so I don't have too many. This project is one I'm actually working on again. And this is a capital punishment, family members of people living on death row. And so I'm going to run through this pretty quick. So this little guy is the brother of the girl I told you guys about. And he's actually, I've been photographing him too over the years. So I'm fixing to actually photograph him again, probably in the next week or two. He's actually 21 now. So these are all people whose family members were on death row, either executed or actually released. It's named after Shirley McCarty, who worked. I'm about to photograph. That's them, I'll tell you. But in June, while we're in class, I'll be rephotographing him. And he's actually married now with children. I think he has a child. Maybe he didn't. He's definitely married. And this is Curtis McCarty. He spent 22 years on death row and was innocent. This is the just a couple of months after he got out of prison. And after he was exonerated. Imagine spending 22 years in a hole, because the death row in Oklahoma is underground and you're in a you know, an 8x10 cell 24 hours a day. So there's I just photographed him literally last September. So these kids are all going to be rephotographed this year. So is she. So that's what this project is talking about, what's happened to these family members. And I can go into a lot more if I do a lecture or whatever, but I just wanted to kind of give you a little tour. And then let's go over here quickly to, this is a project called The Last Resort that I did in graduate school. And it was about thinking about how people work themselves in the middle class, work themselves to death, and then they finally have retirement and they move to these trailer parks in Arizona where they're supposed to be like a little resort, but by then of course their health has gone bad. And you know, these are trailer parks, they're not really it's kind of the last resort basically. So that's why it's named that. But I'm going to again go through these fairly quickly. This is interesting because when I was there, this is again when I was in graduate school, they would write, when somebody would die, they would write his name on the book. This is, he died 2/28/2011. They write their name on the message board at the clubhouse in these trailer parks. So that was a place I always stopped. And there's my husband who's now died. He died the next year, actually, after I made that picture. And these actually, The Last Resort, started to think about how there are times in our life when it literally is the last resort, whether we're old or young. And that started sort of growing in this series about times in our life when things feel like the last resort, decisions that we make, things that happen to us, things like that. These all come with, a lot of these have little stories or basically little artist books. So just little narratives that happened when I made the photo, or why I made the photograph. This photo actually goes with Stan's mother's dresses, a story about Stan and his mom's dresses. The story is called The Skeleton Woman. This is a story about my first African-American friend. Have a look if you get a chance, and let's go out of here. There's a couple of videos here. This is the last image I made of my husband before he died. That was his casket. We put it on the table, and that room is so different now too. It's turquoise and gray. So anyway, let's move on. Get back out of here. All right, so the last thing I guess I'll show you, these food bank altars. So, oh gosh, I don't think I'm going to go into the food bank altars. I'll do that on a lecture. Anyway, have a look at my website. And I don't want to take too long on this video and get you bored before you even start the class. But these are altars I made. This is 30-day supply for a person, senior citizen 60 and over, from the South Plains Food Bank in Lubbock, Texas. All right, so let's go out of here. I'm going to go ahead and move on back to here. And so I want to welcome all of you, but the most important thing I wanted to tell you is to be sure and start thinking about your project. I'll be sending out another video soon. All right, guys, take care. See you soon. Thank you. Bye.